Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4playernetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 608. It's July 25th, 2019. My name is Nick Henderson, and joining me this evening, Nolan Hedstrom.
How's it going, everybody?
And Christopher Guthridge.
Hey, how's it going?
We are doing this remotely. We had, I think, both Chris Davis and Brad are both ill with, I don't know,
like
someone
with the consumption.
Yes.
Everyone around Austin is getting sick right now. I know like 10 different people at my work that are sick. Like, it's crazy.
So you haven't been going to work then, is what you're saying?
No, I've been going. I'm saying they're gone. They're all like working from home and stuff because they're all sick. I'm good though. I got my sickness out of the way a couple of weeks ago.
Good. I'm glad to hear. I'm glad to hear everyone's well. So we are doing this show remotely from home. So thank you everybody who's tuning in live tonight. I see we got a lot of people in chat. This is very nice. We got some video games to talk about tonight. But before we do that, there's a couple things I want to mention. First and foremost, of course, Discord. If you're not in our Discord, in fact, we're using our Discord right now to record this podcast. So if you have not joined our Discord, you can join it at discord.gg/4player. And we're in there all the time talking about video games. We got all kinds of channels set up. It's good stuff going on in there. I also want to mention that we are going to be doing a bonus podcast in the not too distant future, hopefully, where we're going to talk about Marvel's newly announced Phase 4 of the MCU, which is kind of wild, I think.
Did I literally know nothing about it?
Cuckoo bananas.
It's cuckoo bananas. No, so Nolan's been kind of out of the loop, and I don't know. Should we give him the rundown right now?
It looks bonkers.
The only thing
we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
There's going to be like a new Doctor Strange.
Well,
Yes.
maybe.
That's literally the only thing I've heard.
All right, cool. Then we're gonna drop some bombs on you tonight, Nolan. But we'll talk about that briefly, and then we'll do the real meat of the discussion on a bonus podcast soon. And on a bone podcast. I'm mentioning that specifically because we want to get y'all's feedback. If you have any theories or thoughts or questions, if you're a supporter on Patreon or Twitch, you can go into the supporter channel the supporter channel on Discord, and there is a pinned tweet or a pinned message in there with a link to a Google form where you can leave your feedback. I literally broke it down like all the different movies they announced because there's a shit ton. So if you have any thoughts about any of that shit that they announced last weekend at Comic-Con, jump in there and leave us your feedback. We'd love to hear from you guys. But without further ado, let's talk about the stuff we're actually here to talk about. Why don't we just open the show real quick? We're going to talk about a lot of Marvel stuff tonight because Crispy's been playing a little bit of Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. So why don't we just open? I'm kind of eager to like drop these bombs on Nolan here because like
do it.
You've been very busy lately.
Dude, yeah, my work schedule's been crazy. As soon as I get home from work, I'm busy. I think I might have mentioned it on the podcast last week, but I I did a hackathon at work. And a hackathon is essentially when a bunch of people just get together and hack together some application or service or something. And we thought we were going to do Wednesday through Friday, but then we also did most of Saturday and most of Sunday. Like, woke up at 5 a.m. on Saturday and started working on this. And so by the time Monday came around, we presented it, and like the adrenaline started. We presented it to our VP, not like random people, like our VP of our company or our area in our company, and a bunch of other like senior managers and stuff. And then like literally like an hour afterwards, somebody was like, "Dude, are you okay? Like, you don't look too good." And I was just like, "No,
I don't."
Like,
No.
The honest answer to that is no.
I need help. Wait, what did you guys make?
So we created a tool that honestly was just something we needed. My team is really small. We're only 4 people, and we own like 9 applications that get used by hundreds of people. And so it's really hard to manage it all. And so my thought was, let's create kind of like an internal, not necessarily like a Reddit, but it's essentially a system where if someone on a day-to-day basis, people will come up and be like, "Hey, can I have this feature in your tool? Hey, can you add this?" And it gets hard to keep track of all that and prioritize it. So we created a tool where someone would go in, they request it in there, and then other people go in and vote on it, essentially upvote. We don't have the concept of downvotes.
It's like an advanced ticket system where people can vote to prioritize stuff.
Exactly. So the highest thing on our list is obviously the thing we care about more, but then we also have the ability to give it like a level of effort. And so then we can graph it on a scale. So it's like either something is high value and low effort. That's something you want to hit right away because that's something easy to knock out and help a lot of people. But if it's low value and high effort, maybe don't do that one.
It sounds like something.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
It sounds like something that someone who like really enjoys organization and spreadsheets would really, really love.
100%. And like the thing is, don't get me wrong, this is not an original concept. I looked around on the internet. Plenty of these things exist, but you have to pay for them.
Yeah.
And my company's like, nah, we don't need to pay for it.
Fuck that. We'll pay you to make one for us.
I'll build it. And so that's what we did.
That's cool. So in this last week,
I wish my job had that, Nolan.
Yeah, actually, same here. So, Nolan, how many minutes of video games have you played since our last podcast?
Bam! A big fat 0.
A big goose egg.
Dude, I hate it. Like, so seriously, last night I sat down at like 9:45 and I was like, sweet, I'm gonna play some Vigi games. And I pull up Steam and I'm looking at it. And I pull up my Epic Game Store and I'm looking at it. And then I went to sleep at 10:30.
It's like I looked at my.
I'm not playing anything.
I looked at my game library and then I looked at my bed. I looked at my game
I
library and I looked at my bed. Okay, so you've been totally out of the loop, right?
100%.
So Comic-Con, right? Marvel did their big studio or
wait, is Comic-Con going on right now?
No, it was last weekend.
Over. Okay.
Yes.
It was while you were
wow, Nolan didn't even know it was happening. So Marvel did their big, Marvel MCU blowout.
Yeah, I remember last year. Didn't they show off?
I think
they
showed
they showed up one of the Avengers or something like that. And...
I think they showed the first footage of Endgame last year.
Okay, that's what it was. Yeah.
But this year they revealed their entire lineup for Phase 4 plus stuff coming in Phase 5.
Wow, Phase 5.
Yes. So we have the full picture of what's happening here, and I'm gonna pull this up real quick so I had to make sure I don't forget anything. Bear with me here for a second.
So
I'm still working through the comic stuff.
Yes. So, and this is the stuff that we'll potentially be talking about on this bonus podcast when we get to it, which will hopefully be sometime next week. But okay, it's opening. All right, here we go. So, Black Widow, which we knew was coming, is is the first movie, and this is movies and Disney Plus. So we got Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which we knew was coming.
Okay.
They revealed,
which is
they reveal the Eternals.
Marvel or Disney Plus.
No, the Eternals is a movie.
Next up was first show coming exclusively to Disney Plus. Oh wait, that's the entry for Falcon and the
Winter Soldier. Yeah. So
wait, hold on.
You're right.
So we're getting a Kraven the Hunter movie, right?
No.
I didn't say anything about that.
That was probably really loud, and y'all probably all heard that, didn't you?
What?
I didn't hear anything.
Okay, no, but people at home probably heard it. Don't worry, my computer made a noise, and everybody probably heard it, so I do apologize for that. So we got the Eternals, which is going to have Angelina Jolie, Kumail Nanjiani, the guy who plays Robb Stark, whose name I can't remember.
I
lost it.
Yeah.
He was on that Hitman, not Hitman, like
The Bodyguard.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Richard Madden?
That sounds right.
Is it? Richard Madden?
He looks like a Richard Madden? I don't know. But they also showed Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Okay.
I don't know much about Shang-Chi, but it looks pretty cool. WandaVision, which is the whole Wanda and Vision show on Disney Plus. Here's the big one.
It's called WandaVision?
It's called WandaVision.
Like their celebrity match or their celebrity couple name.
And I think that's how you're not supposed to pause when you say it. It's supposed to be WandaVision.
It's all one word.
So, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, that sounds
MCU's first horror movie. They said.
Yeah, they're describing it as a horror movie, and I think,
which I guess because they're not counting the New Mutants as part of the MCU, right? Because that's still X-Men stuff. Yeah.
But I think they also kind of implied the villain's gonna be Nightmare. I think, which would make sense if it's a horror movie. The new Loki show on Disney Plus. They announced a new What If show. Maybe Krispy knows more about this than I do.
What ifs are just their
aren't those like the spin-offs? Like what if this happened?
Yeah, it's like alternate realities. It's like because the whole idea of like the multiverse, like the normal MCU or the normal Marvel universes Earth 616, and there's just like literally thousands of infinite alternate realities. So they do all these different alternate realities. Like, what if I don't know.
So it looks like could be a lot of room there for some really crazy shit.
Yeah.
And then what we got? We got Hawkeye.
Hawkeye,
which I'm sure Krispy's excited for.
Dude, I'm really excited, but
and then
I'm not gonna let myself get too excited.
Probably a good idea. But that's a Disney Plus show as well. But the final movie of Phase 4 is Thor: Love and Thunder by Taika
Waititi.
Taika Waititi's doing it. Nice.
Yep. And they're bringing back Jane Foster, and she is going to become the mighty Thor.
Yeah.
Which I think that's what they called her. I think,
what?
right?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Natalie Portman is coming back, and she will be playing Thor.
What? She's playing with Thor?
Chris Hemsworth will be in the movie, obviously, but Jane Foster will return, and she will have the hammer and all that jazz. So that's cool. So beyond that, they officially announced, obviously, Black Panther 2, Captain Marvel 2. What am I forgetting? The
Blade.
Okay, yeah, that was the big surprise.
Yeah.
Blade.
Who's playing Blade? Wesley Snipes?
No.
You're gonna ask me to say his name, and I can't. I swear.
Is it Marshala?
Yes.
Marshall Ali.
Yes. I'm glad you got to butcher the name and not me. No, it's very hard. He's a great actor. I'm super excited, but
hold on. I have to read it to see it.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3, obviously. So my question, we're gonna get into. Fantastic Four is officially announced.
I don't think I butchered it that much.
Wait, when did that happen?
That happened at the panel. I mean, they didn't say whether it's a movie or a show or anything. They just said Fantastic Four is coming to the MCU.
Oh shit, I missed that.
That's
dope.
They also said they didn't have time to at the panel to talk about the X-Men, but they basically implied that they're coming.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, so there's a shit ton of stuff there to unpack. So, like I said, we'll do a bigger podcast or a bonus podcast probably next week sometime where we kind of sit there and unpack that. So if you have any thoughts or any questions or any theories about any of that stuff, we'd love to hear from you because obviously we enjoy MCU films and we want to talk about that stuff. So, again, the link is pinned in the supporter channel in Discord. All you'd have to do is be a supporter on Patreon or a subscriber on Twitch if you want access to that. So, anyways, let's do this. As usual, let's start with newer stuff. We talked about some Dragon Quest last week. We'll get to that in a second.
Wait, are we not doing feedback?
Oh, thank you, Nolan. See,
gotcha.
If this is a one-man show, if I was the only person doing this, I would forget feedback every week, which sucks because feedback's good. All right, sorry.
I got you, supporters and everyone in the community. I got your backs.
Thank you. All right, our first comment from our last podcast comes from Equack. He says, this is a quick one. He says, glad to hear Nick is enjoying Max Payne. I think the sequel has aged much better, though, and Sam Lake's writing is on another level. I have not touched Max Payne since last week. I know. I mean, it's not that I'm not enjoying it, but there's so many other things right now that are super high on my list. And I was planning on playing more of it on the stream, but I ended up getting really into Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines.
Really?
Yes. Which,
okay.
It's pretty cool. So Ichi's Kid says... hey Nick, just wanted to let you know that the Steam controller is a pretty good option for Steam games without gamepad support. When playing a game, you can load up the most popular user-made controller bindings for that game. It's a really amazing little feature that Valve just doesn't advertise for some reason. So, has anybody here used that controller?
I have not.
That's the one with the weird, concave...
Yeah, it has
pads,
a little
right?
pad. Yeah.
I've always wanted to try it.
I've never used it, but it feels weird because it's like two big clicky pads that you just rub your thumbs on.
just
rub your thumbs. Clearly, it works to some extent.
Yeah,
you rub your thumbs on it.
I do want to try it. That came out because I was playing Vampire the Masquerade, and it doesn't have controller support, so I've been playing it with mouse and keyboard, and luckily I kind of got over that hump on my last stream.
Dude,
but
you know how you could just download DS for Windows and use your DualShock, right?
What? I mean, but can you do that with just any game?
Pretty much.
I mean, DS4 Windows just turns all the controller inputs into keyboard inputs.
Yeah, it maps them.
That's also something I wasn't really aware of that I should probably take into consideration.
It's so easy. I'm surprised you didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't. And honestly, I was having trouble deciding whether I wanted to do Max Payne or Vampire, so playing Vampire was kind of a last-minute decision, so I didn't really give it much thought. But I do plan on that note, I don't have a lot to say about Vampire tonight, but I will say that I think I've decided to extend the Revival Club another month, because I waited very long to really dive into it, and now I'm like pretty into it. That game is pretty cool. It's borked as fuck, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I think I'm gonna just stream that for the month of August. So we'll pick a new game in September. And let's see. The next one comes from Tobias Reaper, first time commenter. Says, "Hey guys, Taxter from Discord here." He says Taxter from Discord, but I tried to find him in Discord the other day to ask him a Outer Wilds related question because of this comment. I couldn't find him. I'm calling him out.
You saying he's a fucking liar? Wait, he's a liar?
I might be saying that, yes. Anyways, he says, first time leaving a comment because I felt I had to chime in on the Outer Wilds discussion. You all seem to have a positive opinion on the game and to be enjoying it, which is awesome. But please, for the love of God, don't let this absolute gem of a game fall by the wayside. As a massive fan of the sci-fi genre in general, Outer Wilds has one of the most compelling and thought-provoking stories in any piece of science fiction ever. Damn.
Wow.
I went into this game with zero expectations and was so blown away by the end. Play this to completion at your own pace, but do yourselves a favor and finish it because it is for sure Game of the Year material. Not to mention, the only other game that has given me as many holy shit that's so smart moments is The Witness, and I know how you all feel about that game.
Some high-ass praise.
Fucking hate that game.
I will say this. I finished that game last night. I'll talk a little bit about it in a while.
Outer Wilds.
I don't disagree with anything he just said. He's comparing it to The Witness. The one thing, the immediate thought I had, maybe because it's more recent, but as soon as I finished it, I was like, that game could be this year's Oberdin. Like, it's just because of the way it forces you to think outside the box, which is really cool.
I need to play it more.
But anyways, yeah, I'll talk about that in a bit. Sorry, I do apologize. This is going to be a podcast full of little noises that my computer is making. I do apologize.
Why is your computer making noise?
I don't know, but
was your computer whining like a dog?
It popped up one of those Adobe would like to make changes to your computer messages. How do I do that without interrupting the flow of this podcast?
You right-click on the audio, you go to volume mixer, and you turn down system sounds.
All right, I'll do that here in just a second.
Yeah. Oh my God, Nick! You hit Control-Alt-Delete, Grandpa.
Alt F4, Nick. It's Alt F4.
No.
Mute.
You're not supposed to click the banner ads.
I'm not falling for that shit, you monster. All right, and our last comment tonight comes from Slop Dog, another first-time commenter with a great name.
Sloppy Dog.
Slop Dog. He says, I really feel for Nolan when he said he just didn't have enough time for certain games. With adult responsibilities and more important things to focus on. More important thing? I'm just kidding. It's made me realize that I just don't have time for multiplayer games anymore. Considering the time they demand to play them well and knowing that in the end I'll just slowly dedicate less and less time with one until I drop it altogether to play the new hotness, I'd rather just play single-player games. They're less of a gamble, less of a hassle to play, especially when you want to play with friends, but you all work different schedules. I at least try to play 4 hours every weekend. Keep strong, guys, and hope you all find time to keep yourselves playing.
I mean, no, that's definitely one of those things where I'm in, a little bit of a slump right now, which is the only reason I've been playing much. But I know I'll come out of it and start, going hardcore against playing my games and stuff. It's just hard when there's all these little house things you got to do, and then all of a sudden you're tired. And it's. I never thought there'd be a day where I'd be too just mentally tired to play games, but that's definitely the case. Where sometimes I'm just like, you know what, I'm just gonna watch a YouTube video and then go to sleep.
Yep.
But no, I'm definitely not gonna give up. But I understand completely where he's coming from when it comes to multiplayer games, because it's been a hot minute since I played any of those. The last one honestly was Apex Legends, and it's funny just because they put out that season 1 pass. And there's some cool stuff in there, and I was like, you know what? I've played a lot of this game, and I've paid $0 for it, and I'm at that point in my life where I can pay a little bit of money.
You bought the season pass, and then you stopped playing.
So I bought the season pass, and I played it for another not for 5 minutes, for 2 weeks, and then that's when life picked up, and I haven't picked it up since. Don't get me wrong, I still don't regret a dime. I felt like I paid like I don't know, like $25 or something, and that is I got way more than $25 worth.
At the end of the day, that's the important thing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So on the topic of multiplayer games, you're talking about not having enough time to play multiplayer games. I just made maybe the worst decision of my life, but I'll talk about that during my 4-player minute at the end of the show.
No, I can't wait.
You probably already know what it is. All right, let's talk about impressions. Let's get to it. Like I said, we talked about Dragon Quest Builders last week. We'll get to that in a second. But first, I want to hear a little bit about Krispy's early thoughts of Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
Oh my God, Nick! I think I do know what it is, and I'm disappointed.
I know.
Well, okay. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah. Marvel Alliance 3: The Black Order.
This is a Switch exclusive, right?
Switch exclusive for now, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, Christy, do you have a Switch?
Yeah, I do actually. Some friends got it for me for Christmas.
Oh,
pretty sweet. Yeah, but I kind of wish I would have waited so I could get that new one.
All
right, we can take it back. I have the receipt somewhere. We can return it.
Damn. Shit.
JK. Anyway, the new Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I've been playing it mostly with my roommate. So I've gone through like maybe 4 chapters now, like 4 areas
of like
worth
the campaign.
Worth of like beating people up and fighting bosses. And I've unlocked most of the characters. I think I've still got maybe like, I don't know, like 6 total to go.
Are there any like deep cuts in this character? Because I remember seeing a lot of
that is some. Oh well, there's like one person that I'm like, what are you doing here? But everybody else is very like what you would expect to see in a video game coming out like at the height of Marvel's cinematic popularity.
Yeah.
Right.
I see Captain Marvel's pretty front and center, and like the
Captain Marvel's pretty front and center. There's like 3 different Spider people, and they're all like the big ones who've made a splash recently. Peter Parker, Gwen Stacy, and Miles Morales.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
All 3 of their like Spider people.
Are they
Venom.
Are they like? Do they have the same moveset, or are they totally different?
No, they are a little different. They do have different moves that they can learn that are like largely the same, but they like will learn them in different orders, and they'll each have kind of like their own specialty. For instance, like Peter can do stuff kind of like from the PS4 game where like he gets access to things like spider drones and stuff like that. Miles has like his venom blasts that he can do, and Gwen is a bit more of like a rapid fire, like kind of area damage.
Okay.
Specializing, but yeah, I mean they all kind of roughly do the same thing.
Yeah.
There's like pretty much the entire like normal movie Avengers lineup, with the exception of like Vision, but he's one of the free DLC characters that's coming out. There's like 4 DLC characters coming out soon. I know that Vision's going to be one of them. Cyclops, I think, is one.
Somebody in chat mentioned Squirrel Girl. Is that real?
I mean, Squirrel Girl.
I mean, I know Squirrel Girl's real, but is her as DLC real?
I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Let me see real quick. I hadn't heard anything about it because the only thing I remember hearing about it was that people were upset that she wasn't in the movie or in the game.
Yeah.
But maybe she's gonna be one of the DLC that they add, because I know they've got like a season pass, so they're gonna have like paid DLC that they do, but they have 3 characters that they're gonna add in, starting like next month, so like in a week or 2.
Gotcha. Who was the deep cut character you mentioned that was cut out of left field?
Well, I guess I say she's a deep cut character, but she's really a character that is like somebody that they're trying to set up for the future. It's Crystal from the
of course.
Which is somebody that like if you don't know the Inhumans, you might be like, who the fuck is this? And that, I mean,
it's Crystal.
Yeah, I was like reading the roster. I'm like Iron Man, Captain America, Doctor Strange, Daredevil, Crystal. Like
I went to school with her.
But like
I mean, I did go to
trying
tea with a girl named Crystal.
I think we all did.
Sure. Why
did.
not? Why not? Right. But Inhumans is something that Marvel's been trying to push more front and center for a while now. For a while, there was like a rumor that had to do with the fact that they wanted characters that they owned that would kind of like fill the void of the X-Men.
Oh yeah.
So they didn't want to get like too crazy with the X-Men because they didn't own all the like movie rights and shit for it. So they kind of wanted to like replace the X-Men with the Inhumans, but now that the X-Men thing's working out, that's kind of not happening anymore. Right, but they still want to bring the Inhumans front and center in a way, so they had to have some representation, so they brought her. I'm not entirely sure why. I mean, I would have thought to go with Black Bolt, but I guess maybe they thought he was just like, I don't know, too powerful or something, but like, whatever. It's stupid. Who cares? The entire movie roster of Guardians of the Galaxy is in the game.
Nice.
I saw Groot.
Groot is there. Wasp is a playable character, but Ant-Man isn't. Ant-Man's in the game as like a NPC, but he's not playable. He might be one of the
DLC.
Yeah, he might be one of the DLC ones coming up.
Of those two characters, I think she is my favorite.
Yeah. So I guess free DLC characters, there's been leaks. Cyclops and Colossus come out August 30th, but I guess Black Bolt was. Oh yeah, so Black Bolt's going to be in the game. That was leaked that he might be. The other three potential ones that were leaked were Medusa, Valkyrie from Thor, and Vision. And then there's going to be a Marvel Knights DLC pack that has Blade, Moon Knight, Morbius, and the Punisher.
Damn.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Suddenly Blade is coming back in like a big way, which I never thought would ever happen. Like he's in a movie, he's in a game. Like this is crazy.
Yeah, man. Blade, he's Blade. People like Marvel noticed that everyone was like, "Man, fuck this. Blade's the best," right? like you know the people who were like trying to undercut like Black Panther when it came out was like, "What are you talking about? Blade's been here since like 1998." And Marvel's like, "Oh, you're right. You guys will pay for that too, won't you? Like, we'll bring him back."
Dude, what do you bring him back? Blade was in What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh yeah, he was in that one episode. Oh my god,
dude, that was one of the best fucking cameos.
It was actually Wesley Snipes?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean it's like him on Skype, but
yeah, he Skyped in because he couldn't be there. But it's so they literally have like a vampire council in the laptop with Wesley Snipes on it.
The funny thing is, like, they probably literally just called him and was like, "Hey, we're filming this thing for the show. Can you just Skype into us at some point?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." I would not be
surprised if that wasn't how it went down.
Yeah, that's pretty good. But yeah, everybody else is like the cast of all the popular movies and Netflix shows, basically.
Wait, is Daredevil in here?
Oh yeah, and he's pretty badass too. He's pretty cool.
Sweet.
I like using him. Yeah, Daredevil's in here. Iron Fist and Luke Cage. Jessica Jones is in the game as an NPC, but she's not playable.
And you say these are characters that are woven in and out of the story, I guess?
Yeah, like an NPC.
Ha! Sorry, you're funny. You're funny. I'm still like, I still struggle with this whole concept of like fighting games with like.
It's not a fighting game. It's like.
Is it not a fighting game?
No, it's like an arcade style brawler.
Oh, of course.
You know what? You know what's funny? I totally was not picturing that because I've been thinking of this as more of like Marvel versus Capcom. Wow. All right.
No, what? Have you ever played Ultimate Alliance?
I have not. No.
It's like Gauntlet or like Diablo, but without the RPG stuff.
I mean, it's funny because like
tiny bit of RPG stuff.
When I googled it earlier, like none of there's like no screenshots that show any of like I'm looking at Google right now. And there's almost no screenshots of gameplay. It all looks like a character selection screen and a lot of like key art that was made for the game. So in my head, I was thinking this was a fighter.
No.
Yeah,
no, bro.
I'm a dum-dum.
No, bro. I will say compare like Nuts and Bolts playing the game is very much just like the other Ultimate Alliances. It's still kind of like just that fun, arcadey, quick, frivolous action.
Yeah.
They have kind of beefed up the like under the hood systems a little bit, so there is a little bit more of like an RPG element to it. There's like a pseudo like sphere grid where you're unlocking buffs and abilities and things like that. Every character also levels up. You can buy new abilities. You can equip them with like shards that give them passive stat boosts. And then they have like the team up system, which was a big thing in the other games. So like if you put characters next to each other that or like if you equipped your 4-person team with characters that had like some actual relationship like in the canon of Marvel Comics, you would like form different teams, and each team had like different latent boosts that it'd give all the like so like the X-Men, like if you put 4 X-Men together, it'd be like X-Men, and then like everyone would have like a boost to like their super energy or whatever.
That's cool.
Or if you did like Avengers, like the Avengers had boosts to like attack power, things like that.
So it's kind of incentivizes creating certain groups,
right? Yeah, but it also kind of like in the past they were pretty rigid. It was just like there was a few of them, and like you could have one of these bonuses active if you had the appropriate people in the team, and you could have one of them active at a time.
Yeah.
They've kind of like broadened it out here in a really interesting way, in that they've added a bunch of categories. So there's not just like teams anymore. There's also like categories of like groups of heroes. So like there will be like witty warriors, like characters who are known for being funny guys,
Quippy.
So like, so if you put like Spider-Man and Deadpool together in a team, like they'll get the witty warrior boost, or like the Women of Marvel boost is one, or
that's cool.
Like, you just put women together. And no, there's no Men of Marvel boost. I don't know why, but like they'll
this is an outrage.
For, like, there's one for like all the different like iterations of the Avengers, like West Coast Avengers, or well, I guess there aren't any West Coast. Well, Hawkeye, I don't know, I don't remember. But they'll be like the Avengers, the new Avengers, shit like that. Mutants, you can do X-Men, you can do like villains. You can do Web Warriors if you do like all 4 spider people. You get Web Warriors, and there's a bunch of them, and they don't require all 4 team members to activate. It's just like they have tiered boosts. So it's like if you've got 2 people that meet this category, you get this level boost. If you get 3, you get a higher one. If you have 4, you get the highest. And they can overlap. So you can have like a whole bunch of different ones going at the same time, just depending on how you like arrange your characters. So like you could have you could have like Spider-Man in a team with Gwen with like Gwen Stacy, and they could both be getting the Web Warrior perk and the Witty Warrior perk and like, I don't know, something else, But like Gwen Stacy could have a different perk with, you also put Captain Marvel in the team, so you get a Women of Marvel perk with those 2, and all of these add up to your team's like total bonuses. So what's really cool about that is you keep the spirit of like the original team up system of like, oh, it's really cool to like put these characters together because they obviously have a relationship with one another. They know each other, for whatever reason. But the way that the system is set up now, it actually encourages you to mix and match to try to like meld these different bonuses together to like find the most optimal pairings of like, oh, this guy, he's got 2 synergies with these 2 characters and another synergy with this 4th character, and it encourages you to kind of scramble things up. Whereas before, it was really cookie cutter. It was like, well, if you want the bonus, you got to take 4 Avengers, or if you want the bonus, you got to take the Fantastic Four. So I really like that.
That's a really cool, just underlying like concept that I'm glad is in there. So first of all, how does the game like if you have all these characters if you've mixed and matched all these characters, like do they, as someone who's never played Marvel Ultimate Alliance, do like the characters have banter with each other while you're running through the levels, or
not necessarily? They don't really like, there isn't like dynamic dialogue necessarily like while you're just playing the game. Like they'll say quippy things when they like launch an attack or whatever. But what they do have is a bunch of different like powers will interact in different ways. So you have like a trigger. So if you hold like the right shoulder button, it brings up your powers. So you hit one of the face buttons and you launch whatever power is associated with that button, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you do the trigger, it'll show you which team members around you have powers that interact with each of those powers. And it'll like have their picture flashing on it. So like, let's say, I don't know, like in previous games, one I always remember doing was Cyclops is just like his eye beams.
Yeah.
Like he'll just shoot a beam. And if he was near Captain America could use his shield to like
deflect it
into enemies and get like a special boost for doing that. But like there's a whole bunch of different ways that all these different powers interact with each other, and they're all broken down into types. Like each one of these powers has like a broad type, like it'll be a smash attack, or it'll be a ranged attack, or it'll be something like that, you know?
Yeah.
And those general types interact with other types in different ways. So every power of this type that interacts with every power of this type will like work, you know?
That's cool.
And it's all about rearranging and slotting different powers into your heroes that you know interact well with the powers that your other heroes have equipped, and just trying to like create these synergies. Because a lot of times, like there's a like challenge rifts are a big thing in this one, where they like set up, you know, curated challenges, and a lot of them, especially the combat based ones, revolve around the fact that like your normal attacks don't really do much damage, so you have to use these like combo attacks.
Yeah.
So you have to like build a really like tight synergistic team in order to like get through the challenge, you know?
Gotcha. That's fucking dope. I didn't know this game had so many like layers. Like that's pretty.
Yeah, I mean,
I was pretty surprised like when the review started rolling out, and I was like, it's getting some positive buzz.
Yeah, so. I mean, I think like it's not a fantastic game. Like the art style I think is very clean, but it is simplistic. You know, it's not blowing me away. It's not like as much of a joy to look at as say like Dragon Quest Builders. But it's fine. The story is like real whatever. It's basically just
pretty
Infinity. It is very much it's the Infinity Stones get scattered across Earth. Thanos is trying to find them. You're trying to stop that.
I think they made a movie about that once.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard this story before. I mean, it's very basic, but like the writing is. It's okay. Like it's good at times and kind of like meh at other times. It's whatever. I mean, it's a really like I think this game, like I haven't put much time into it alone just because it's okay. I really think this game shines as like a party game. Like I think it's really fun to play with other people and like mix and match characters. And I think if you're playing it for that reason, it's absolutely worth it. If you're playing it by yourself, like, yeah, I mean, you can have fun with it. It's very like solid, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. One thing I will say, I was more impressed by like the character interpretations in this game than I was of fucking the new Avengers game, who for whatever reason I can't the Crystal Dynamics Avengers game, which I'm hoping that changed. Did anybody watch that footage that leaked?
Yeah,
the
E3 20-minute.
Yeah, somebody leaked the E3 demo because they did it at Comic-Con, and it leaks in like 10 minutes.
Oh, of course.
And I mean, it's
Dude,
like
it almost looks like I can't believe the whole game is like that.
I mean,
you know, I feel like is this just like an hour-long like intro section where they're just like doing a bunch of like scripted events and shit?
We live in a post-Spider-Man, like Insomniac Spider-Man world, and like what I saw there just doesn't look like it's going to cut it. I'm hoping that that's just more of a linear thing they use to like show off very specific powers and stuff, but like that game has to open up at some point, right? It has to.
It was the same kind of shit with like Jedi: The Fallen Order, except like even more disappointing.
Yeah,
like,
but then remember, like they started showing more of that game behind closed doors, and people were like, "What are they doing? Like the stuff they're showing publicly is not interesting, but everything that we're seeing behind closed doors is awesome." So it's so bizarre. But anyways, I think they're supposed to release that official footage. I think after Gamescom or something. I don't know. Anyways, so let's talk about Dragon Quest Builders. I know this has been totally taking over your life, right? Your gaming.
I want to play it.
All right, no, your time.
So bad.
It's almost time, Nolan.
Yeah,
you'll have time soon. I think. I don't know. I don't manage your schedule. I'm assuming.
Manage my schedule, Nick. Make time.
You don't want me managing your schedule. Krispy, how's Dragon Quest Builders going? God damn it.
Dragon Quest Villages is really good. It's really good. It's getting under my skin. Oh my god. So we've talked about like the format of the game, right?
Yes.
Like how it's set up, where you've got like the central hub island, and then you go out to these other islands, and you learn things there, and you meet people there, and you bring them back to your home island to like build it and make it better, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the extent of what we were able to touch on last week because you hadn't seen much more than that.
So the first island, which I was still like kind of in the beginning stages of, and Brad had like just started.
Yeah.
That island is all about agriculture. It's all about learning how to build a farm and like grow food and grow different crops and farm.
Yes.
You know?
Okay.
And I built the shit out of that place. Like by the time I left, I had like fields everywhere. There was this giant like magic tree in the center of the village. I had all these like multi-level housing and like pads. I planned the shit out of it, and it looked really fucking cool. Like it looked really neat, and I was like really proud of it. And I finished it, and like honestly, to finish that whole section of the game was like, I mean, oh my god, I mean, it must have been like 8 hours or something, maybe 10 hours. I don't know. It was a long time. I have no idea how long I played this game, but I played a lot of it.
Have you ever built something in this game and just felt like, I need to screen cap this because
I'm
late. Proud of it?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. Like, I haven't, but I do kind of want to go back and capture it. But I was late today because I was trying to dig through a mountain to run a river through the mountain.
Ooh, okay.
And I was just like breaking.
Trying to set up some irrigation or something.
Yeah. I was just like I was trying to build a river, and I was trying to like break this giant I was trying to basically carve out a cave through this mountain out of like breaking like dirt blocks, and like I just was doing that for like an hour, and like I was late to this because I just like got fucking zombified, like just breaking blocks, and it's like I have no idea how long I played this game. It's so like hypnotic, you know?
Is it day or night outside? I don't even
like
know.
I just lose time when I'm playing. It's like what the fuck? Like I played it the other night, and I was like, oh, I can play for like an hour and a half before I have to go to bed, and I like built a house and looked at the clock, and I was like, I should have been in bed 10 minutes ago. Like what the fuck happened? You know?
That's how I felt playing like Subnautica. I guess is the last thing I can remember.
Time just goes so fast when you have all these little tasks, especially in games like Subnautica and like Minecraft and like this. There's just like a little thing. It's like, oh well, this won't take me long to do, so let me do this real quick, and then oh well, that didn't take long. Here's this next little thing, and same with like Stardew Valley. Just all these little things, and just, since there's constantly something in your head, kind of like distracting you, all of a sudden, time. It's like 3 hours have gone by.
You got like a whole list of things you want to do. And kind of like I just like one more, like just 5 more minutes, and I'll finish digging this giant hole in the ground.
Here's when you know that you're in trouble, Krispy, is when you pull out a notepad and you start writing it down.
You know, I mean, if I was a more organized person, I'd probably already be there, but like I just don't do that.
You're just like, it's all in my head. I gotta get it out.
Yeah. But like it's so good, and like I finished. The one thing I will say is I've played enough of this game now to confidently say that like I don't care how fucking clever the writing is, and it is pretty clever, but like there's too many text boxes in this game. It's like
that's good to know.
Wow, I just don't care. Shut up. Like, and
that's what Brad. I think you might have mentioned it too, but I know Brad was saying last week, just kind of skipping through dialogue.
Dude, yeah, it's just like you're just saying the same thing over and over again because it's a game for children. Like, it's not a very difficult game, and they want to make sure you understand what's going on.
And adults.
I mean, it is definitely a children's game, though.
And grown-ass men.
And grown-ass men, yes, and 31-year-old men
and women.
Who have the temperament of children, which is me. Yeah, it's just like you finish one quest step, and then they just want to talk about it forever. Yeah. It's more like, oh my god, like everyone in the village. Like the bigger your village gets, it gets worse too, because like everyone wants to come over and be like, dude, thank you so much for building us that bathhouse. I can't wait to use that bathhouse. And then somebody's like, oh my god, you built us a bathhouse. Thank you so much. And you're like, shut up! Shut up! I don't care!
There's like 100 people lined up outside just waiting, just like, thank you.
I'm like already trying to like build the next thing, right? And like people just want to fucking talk and show me cutscenes. And none of it's voice acted, so it's just like
never
just
fun.
Like box of text.
Is there like a setting you can speed up the text? Like
no, I mean I just fucking mash X. I don't know. Maybe. No, probably not.
Probably
don't,
not.
Like, I don't know. But like all of that aside, the game is delightful. And once you start like buildings, like once things start taking shape and they start getting like more complex and you have access to different types of building materials and you can start like making houses that look like houses and putting like real furniture in them, and like having a variety of different buildings and like actually building a town, like oh, it's so good. It's like, yay! My little town, my farming village.
I'm trying to think of the last game I played that had like a really satisfying, rewarding like town builder that didn't also have the just immense pressure and stress of something trying to kill you. Like Subnautica.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know what's funny is like monsters do show up and try to like, or at least when I was building.
But they're cute.
No, they're cute and annoying, so I'm just like, whatever, you know. But I actually just like dug out a moat around my town. I built up a big wall where they usually attack, and then they would come and break the wall. So I rebuilt the wall, and then I dug a big ass fucking trench, like a moat, around the wall. And then they would like fall into the wall, and then eventually I dug the moat out deep enough that they would fall into the moat, and then they would like, I mean, because they're programmed to just like go forward and destroy shit, right? So they're doing that in a straight line under my village. They're just like mining out the underside of my village and doing nothing to anything I've built. And I just go down there and kill them. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, Chris, you're so smart." And I'm like, "I know."
Cool.
It's so good.
That sounds fun.
It's so good.
That sounds fun.
I love this game. This is definitely top 10 material for me.
Awesome. This is going on my list of like games I should definitely try this year because you know, I'm hearing good things.
Yeah, I mean, like the first Dragon Quest Builders was really good, but like the quality of life improvements here, like the reorganization of the game, I definitely think this is the one to play.
And it's just charming as fuck.
It's so delightful.
Yeah.
It's so
cool. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it.
So good.
All right, so we'll talk. I'm sure we'll hear more about this in the future because I'm sure you're going to keep playing it, and I'm sure Brad's going to keep playing it too. So, and maybe Nolan's going to play it when you find time.
Maybe.
All right. So I want to quickly mention I've played Outer Wilds this week, and I finished it. Like I said.
Okay. So if you finished it, Nick, hang on. If you finished it, Nick.
Yes. Okay.
Do you agree with what that chatter said at the beginning of the show?
I think this game. First of all, everything you said about this game being just like
was it transcendent?
One thing you said about it being like some of the best sci-fi storytelling he's ever seen. I can definitely see where he's coming from and why he might think that, because it is definitely very smart. It doesn't expressly tell you like everything. It's one of those games where everything you learn about the world, about the universe, and what's happening, you just kind of have to figure out for yourself.
Yeah, you stumble upon it and kind of put the clues together yourself.
Yeah, because you can find it in any order you choose, and you're constantly bouncing forth around everything. And that is, I still think that's a brilliant way to tell a story, and I think it works amazingly well here. I think one of the underlying concepts of the story, which is just like this ancient alien race who like is kind of obsessed with like science and exploration and like has this undeniable need to just like learn everything, leads to some really interesting questions and leads to some really interesting like mysteries that you have to solve, and that stuff is great. I fucking love it. At the end of the day, like I finished it last night. Some wild, crazy shit happens at the end of that game. I feel like it's very satisfying. It goes in a really cool place, which I obviously won't spoil here. But I also found myself sitting here thinking, like, holy shit, what the fuck just happened? Because I found everything out of order, and like, there's all these different things to take into consideration. That like, I know what happened, but I also don't know what happened. There's so many things, like little bits of information or little pieces of the puzzle that may be missing or maybe in the wrong place in my mind. So, but still, it's a really compelling way to tell a story, and it works remarkably well. I also think I saw a lot of people in Discord and stuff talking about how like they want to play it, but they bounced off it really quickly because of the controls, and I think they're talking a lot about the flying of the ship.
I don't think it's that hard to control.
I mean. It's not. I mean, once you get the hang of it, it's really not. Like, and honestly, it's really, like I've said this before, it's really satisfying to like get good at it and like becoming an expert at like flying around and dodging planets and
navigating
like
and
landing, like making these really nice touchdowns and stuff. It was really satisfying. I love that shit. But at the beginning, it was hard for me to get the hang of, and I almost bounced off it for that exact reason.
Then the only thing that was difficult for me to get a hold of was like how to more the jetpack on the actual rocket. Because when you do your boost, you have to like let go of the button and then boost again to actually, and so that was kind of confusing early on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think once you get the hang of it, and once you understand that you can only boost for so long, and that kind of gauge runs out, and you have to wait for it to like refill and stuff like that. Once you get the hang of all of that, I think it's pretty good.
And the way gravity works, like all the different planets have their own gravity, and like different degrees of gravity,
different levels of gravity,
which is really cool because like you can be like, I could be flying towards one planet and just trying to book it and make good time, and if I come a little too close to another planet, I could get sucked into its gravitational field, and like that can lead to some hilarious or oftentimes frustrating situations. But I will say this, I think this game is kind of amazing, and I think everybody needs to play it, but I also think that there are I would say there were a handful of things that when I had to look up, like not like express it, like tell me how to do this, but just kind of like I kind of know what this is telling me, but like I can't quite get there. I'm like I can't quite cross the line into understanding.
Like, you're close, but like
And then I look it up and I'm like, well, shit, I never would have figured that out. And like, but like it's integral to like beating the game, and maybe that's just everybody's gonna kind of do it at their own speed, and for some people it may be obvious. There was one thing that I looked at and I figured it out, and I was like, holy shit, like I would have sat here for hours and never would have pieced it together if I didn't look this up. So I will tell you this, the biggest piece of advice, because it's kind of a bummer, like when I finished it I was like, that was amazing, but I'm kind of disappointed in myself for like I don't feel like I got the full experience, because there's a few things that like would have been incredible if I had just kind of naturally stumbled across them. Never forget about the computer with the rumor map. There is so much important information on there. If you ever find yourself stuck, almost every time the answer that you need is there. And if it's not, there's a big question mark and it kind of tells you where you might go to like find out more information. Also, one thing I didn't realize until literally the last hour that I was playing the game, out of like 26 hours, like I didn't realize this somehow. You can push the select button and it opens a full solar system map.
I knew that, yeah.
I never knew that until the very fucking end, which would have been
pretty helpful.
Also, something I waited until the very end to figure out, but on the rumor map that pulls up and it shows all the dots being connected and everything, there's all these little like boxes, right, that have information on them. But in between the boxes, there's lines connecting them. You can click on the lines for additional information that tell you how those two boxes connect. I didn't know that until like the last 2 or 3 hours of the game. So very helpful stuff there that might help people get out of those situations. But seriously, that game is pretty incredible, and it has like a really satisfying like conclusion, I would say. Yeah, it goes places.
Good to know.
It also makes me like it scratched that like space exploration itch, and now I'm kind of like, maybe now is the time to like go back to No Man's Sky, which is something I've been thinking about doing for a very long time. Like,
dangerous.
Yeah, it is dangerous, but
very similar to Dragon Quest Builders. There's always that one, just a little more you can do. Let me just collect. I just need a little more of this, and then I can upgrade this part. And like, it's dangerous.
But it is a fucking cool ass game. Y'all need to play it. I'm not going to talk too much about Vampire the Masquerade tonight. I'll talk about it more next week when I can bring footage and we can look at it, because that game is fun to look at and it's borked as hell. I found a house, and there was like a window that was shattered. This happened on the stream too. Someone had like shot at me, and a bullet went through the window and like shattered the window. And when I walked out of the house and turned around and looked at the house, you could see the clipping mask broke. So there's this giant block of broken glass texture, like sitting, like poking out of the side of the house, because it was no longer clipping onto like the space where the window was. So it was just like all kinds of shit like that. But somehow that game remains very interesting throughout. Like all these little story threads, they're like teasing and stuff, and like leading you all these different paths, and like all this like really cool like underlying vampire lore that I feel like is not really explored much outside of this universe pretty fucking cool. So I'll leave it at that for now. I'll play it more next week on the stream, and I'm going to probably play that most of the month of August, and I'll talk about it on the podcast next week as well. But we're playing that along for the Revival Club right now, so if you're a supporter on Patreon at the $3 tier or higher, we have a channel set up in Discord specifically for that game, so if you want to jump in and play it, we're talking about it. You can ask questions and all this kind of stuff. So, do we have anything else game-wise to talk about? I think that's kind of it.
You know, can't think of anything.
Alrighty. So there's not a lot of news to talk about this week, so I kind of want to just focus on one.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
They finally showed the trailer for The Witcher
Mm-hmm.
from Netflix. And there's been we've had discussions on our own show about this and how, some of us are more skeptical than others, maybe rightfully so. The casting was strange, right? In some senses, especially the lead casting. I don't think anybody was really on board with Henry Cavill playing Geralt of Rivia.
No.
And that wasn't really alleviated much when they started showing like promotional photos and stuff. It looked very clean and not, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But now that we have a full 2.5 minute long trailer and the show is coming later this year, I just want to see what y'all thought. Because it kind of kicked me in the balls this past weekend, in a good way.
Kicked you in the balls?
In a good way.
Right in the knackers?
Right in the the excitement portion of my balls.
Right in your dangling testicles.
Yes. I went out the day that that trailer was. I went out and I bought the first book because I'm like,
wow.
Brad's been recommending the Last Wish.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong; they're all good.
So, I mean, I've never really entertained the notion of reading the books for some reason. For up until this point, the games always felt like they were enough for me. But
oh no, dude, there's so much more. It goes in so much more detail. There's so many more hijinks and adventures and characters and scenarios. And that was one of the things. Because I didn't read the books day one. It took me a while to get into them.
These are old books, aren't they?
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, and so I got into them. I did some of the audiobooks and stuff like that. But once you start getting into some of those stories and the lore and how the characters
it's pretty different, right?
Oh yeah.
That's exciting. I'm a huge I love the fiction that they created for the games. I'm not super familiar with the differences, but I know there's a lot of them, and people have pointed some of those out to me. But when I watched the trailer, there were things that were making I was like, what? And I was talking, and someone was like, yeah, that's from the books. Yeah, that's from the books. And then it became very clear that okay, this is all very much based on the books.
Yeah, they definitely had the fucking Striga from the first story.
But yeah, and that's what kind of what thing I was talking about. And when the Blood and Wine DLC came out,
I'm gonna play that. I've never played that,
dude. It's really fucking good. First of all, but secondly, when they released that first trailer and I saw that Regis, is that how I pronounce his name, was gonna be in that, dude, I fucking blew my mind because that's an amazing fucking character from the books that's never been touched before. He has a great story, a great relationship with Geralt, and just being able to see them interact with each other just more. It's more of that.
Yeah,
the good fun times, the adventures they go on. Dude, it's so fucking good, man.
Yeah. So
Last Wish is good too because that's a lot of interactions with Geralt and Dandelion and Yennefer.
They haven't shown Dandelion any of the footage or talked about him being in the show yet, but I'm assuming he's in there.
I don't know if he is.
I mean, they according to everything I've seen about the casting and stuff, they've already done some pretty deep cuts of book stuff that have shown up in trailers. So Dandelion, I would imagine, has to be in there.
I mean, I can look it up and see.
But what did y'all think of the trailer, of the footage? Krispy, you're over here.
I mean, I watched it and it was I don't know what to think.
You don't know what to think.
Here's the thing. I really like The Witcher. I really like a lot of the ideas in The Witcher.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have much of a sense of purity though.
You mean like when you say
when it comes to The Witcher, like I don't, I don't feel like things have to be a specific way and they have to be presented like this, and we need to see these characters near these.
So it's not like Game of Thrones for you.
Yeah, I kind of. Well, that's a different discussion.
I didn't mean to evoke
because you know what, you're right. Maybe it would have been better if the show was more like the books, but I would have taken good.
All right, that's a whole different discussion. Holy shit! Way to sneak that one in there.
Okay, so I mean, first of all, I think it's one of those situations where it's too early to tell. It's. I didn't hate it. From the footage we saw, I wasn't like completely like
blown away.
I wasn't blown away, but I wasn't like mad. I don't think I would like to see, a scene instead of like a mashup of like scenes. Just one scene where it's like Geralt talking to someone, talking about a hunt or something like that. So one of those things. Just because
you want to see actual dialogue back and forth between two characters.
Yeah, because that's kind of I think what's gonna sell it, and that's one of the things that's always sold me on Witcher games is like, don't get me wrong, like. The combat's not great. Like it's one of those things where Witcher combat's horrible, kind of. That's not why I play the Witcher game. I play the Witcher game because I enjoy going on a quest, finishing that quest, interacting with the townspeople, seeing how like Geralt interacts with the other Witchers and Ciri and Yennefer and Triss and like all that stuff. How they interact with each other. That's the best part. And so you didn't get too much of that in this trailer.
True. For me, what the trailer did. Which is what I think made me excited, was it did two things primarily. One, it established a kind of a look for the show, because going into this, I was very concerned about the way it was going to look. Like everything they'd shown up to this point looked very clean, very video game, But seeing a lot of the footage after post-production, after you get a feel for like the costumes and like the lighting and like all that stuff, how it kind of comes together, like it looks much more like in my mind what I would have wanted the show to look like. Mm-hmm. It's looking at footage of the show in action is very different than looking at a still promotional shot taken like a photo studio of him in full costume. It's very different. And two, obviously I was very like I personally have nothing against Henry Cavill. I know some people are kind of like, boo, Henry Cavill only does one character, and it's Henry Cavill. But at the same time, it's kind of like, it's not offensive to me.
Henry Cavill ruined Superman. No, that was Zack Snyder.
Yeah, that was Zack Snyder. But like, I've always liked Henry Cavill for what it's worth. He's not like he doesn't have like the most amazing range, but like he's done fine in the roles that he's been in.
Fine. It's fine.
Dude,
it's not good, but it's fine.
I will say that Henry Cavill was pretty good in Mission Impossible.
He was damn good in Mission Impossible. But all I'm saying...
No, that's not fair, Nick. You don't get to make that judgment. You love everything about every Mission Impossible.
I don't...
He has a point.
I don't like Mission Impossible 2.
That's the only one you're allowed to...
the good one? The artful one?
But I will say this. I was not immediately... I was very put off by the casting of Henry Cavill, just because I was like, he does not, in my mind, evoke thoughts of Geralt of Rivia at all. And then we saw the promotional photo, and he had this like very clean, like silver hair. It's like, that looks fake. Like, what the fuck?
Now, here's the thing, man. I want to answer that specific accusation. That specific slander.
Wait, which one? Which one are we talking about?
That he doesn't evoke your idea of Geralt.
Okay.
And I will say that, like, when I was playing the games and I was like, oh, this is really cool. Maybe I will read those fucking books. Blah, blah, blah. And I went back and I read The Last Wish. That Geralt did not, like, seem like Geralt to me. Like, none of the different Geralts seem like Geralt. Like, seem the same to me.
They all are, they are a little different.
It is weird because... So the show is
the Geralt in the books is almost like, at least at first, is almost like Rumpelstiltskin with a sword. Like, it's fucking weird.
It's funny because the show is adapting the books. The game is adapting the books, but the games are telling an original story with characters established in the books.
Correct.
And the show is adapting the books, but using character design like inspiration, I think, more in tune with the games, because that's the point of reference I think most people, especially in the West, have, is the game, or that's the cultural touch point, I suppose. Which is strange. They're very like, when the showrunners talk about the show, they talk very like, this is an adaptation of the books. We're not adapting the video games, and like that's fine, but we're going to make them look a little bit like the characters in the video game. It's just kind of a strange mishmash. What I will say is, seeing Henry Cavill in costume, in footage, has made me more positive about the casting choice, more receptive to the casting choice for sure. Very little of the dialogue that we've seen seemed fine, but and Brad said this on Twitter, and I agree with him. I do want to see like a scene play out. I want to see some dialogue.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because like I said, yes, I agree with you. Henry Cavill doesn't look bad. I don't hate it. But there's a difference in between the look. When they first announced Henry Cavill as Superman, I was like, hey, he doesn't look too bad. Maybe the Superman movie's going to be good. And you know what? I turned out to hate it. So, but I don't want to judge the show.
Entirely Henry Cavill's fault.
Yeah, but be honest.
But I understand that. I'm not blaming Henry Cavill. I'm just saying I judge the book by its cover.
Even if you hated Man of Steel, when you decided to yourself, okay, I hate Man of Steel, how much of that was like, I hated the way Henry Cavill looked as Superman?
I mean, mainly it was the rockets that were shaped like dildos.
That was
one of the things I didn't like about it. Yes, I will agree with you that the appearance of Henry Cavill wasn't the reason I hated it. But, like I said, that's not going to... Just because I don't mind the way Henry Cavill looks like as Geralt of Rivia, that doesn't mean the show's going to be good.
I know. I'm just saying, I'm very much more excited, and I'm anticipating the show more because I think it's looking better than I was expecting it to in my mind. So I'll just.
But I agree. I agree with what Brad's saying. Brad's in chat right now, and yes, the Geralt from the main storyline is definitely a grumpy person. He is never really that happy. Anytime like someone says something to him, he always like kind of like shoves them off or whatever. He does want to be left alone, but and so I still don't know how that I didn't get anything from the trailer as to how Cavill is playing Geralt. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get kind of like how that character is going. There are very few scenes where anything happens of any like
consequence.
Yeah. And so I still think I need to see, I want to see a scene.
I know.
Like just a 5-minute scene from the middle of some random episode where it's just him talking with someone.
And I'm sure we'll get that prior to launch. I want to say two things. One, I want to comment real quick. Illumination, at some point in this conversation, this back and forth we were having about Superman and all this stuff, she said, "Thank God there is no Jason Bourne TV show." And to that, I want to say, Illumination, there is in fact a Jason Bourne TV show coming to USA in 2020, and it's called Treadstone.
USA characters welcome.
This podcast is brought to you by USA. I just wanted to bring that out. Second of all, I just want to point out, and this is one thing. A lot of people, I feel like there's a lot of people talking about they're worried about the CGI, and a lot of people who said Game of Thrones looked bad, and I don't. Are we that spoiled? Spoiled?
Nick, sometimes it looked bad, and sometimes it looked good to fine. But there are certain like really expensive, high-profile shots in Game of Thrones that are like.
But have we really reached a point where we are? I feel like it's so spoiled of us to say, "Hey, they just spent millions of dollars adapting this to television, and for the most part, it looks good." I'll just go ahead and lower it to good. It looks good. Or fine, whatever. Sure. And we're gonna sit here and like talk about how this show is trash. It looks terrible. And like, why? Like, this is why we can't have nice things. Because all people do is
we don't like
tear it apart. Brad's in chat right now saying this looked budget, and I have no idea where he's getting that.
Well, I don't know.
I mean.
This is why
he's specifically mentioning
this is why like period dramas or like period historical costume pieces have kind of only been coming back into prominence lately is because like they originally weren't popular because they're difficult to do because you got to spend a lot of money on a lot of things.
I'm just saying, like, people are specifically mentioning the monster scene at the end of the trailer where it comes out of the swamp. Like, I think that looked fucking awesome. That scene was like holy shit! Like, I'm ready for this. That's what did it for me. People were like tearing it down.
The spider thing did look a little budget, just a little. But it's one of those things where I don't necessarily care. I think they would get the most benefit from not having the big CG spider and instead having smaller creatures that Geralt can interact with that you'd literally just, it's a fucking costume.
I mean, yeah, you're right.
I'm looking at it right now.
There's that one costume, that thing like walking down a hallway that looked pretty good.
I mean, I'll be honest, and I think Brad's right. I think it's probably not. There's probably not going to be a ton of monsters in the show. It's probably the whole monster hunting thing is probably going to be something we see very sparingly because
of course, yes.
When they do it, they're probably going to spend a lot of their budget doing it. And
I'm sorry, what? What did you say?
I said when they do it. When they do it, they're going to spend a lot of their budget on it, and they're going to be like, "All right, we've spent our budget for the month. Let's wait until the next."
You know, I think the only thing that's going to sell this show to me is if at some point Geralt kills a bunch of cows and then rests, and when he wakes up, a fiend just shows up out of nowhere and just demolishes him.
There we go.
That's the only way the show's going to be good.
I really hope there's a lot of like, little subtle like nods to like video game quirkiness.
Dude, I mean,
Roach doesn't show up on the top of a house at some point in this show, and he just looks up and he's like, "Damn it, Roach!" And Roach is just standing on the top of a house. I'm not going to be happy.
That would be awesome.
If he doesn't pull out a little pouch with some Gwent cards in it, like wrapped in plastic, and he's like, "Let's duel." I'm not going to be happy.
I think I saw somebody that said that Yennefer in the show is not hot enough to convince Geralt to put down Gwent or like to like stop playing Gwent for more than 5 minutes. I was like, oh, I don't know. Anyways,
I don't know. I mean, like it looks fine to me. Like it looks like what you would expect a show on Netflix to look like.
Yeah, and
I'm
there are lots of shows on Netflix that don't have
cautiously optimistic.
All right, cool. This is good. This is the kind of conversation I wanted to have. I'm glad we talked about it. It's coming out later.
But
this
it
year.
looks like fucking dick, Nick.
What's wrong with dick, Chris?
Ooh, good point.
You're right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's my point.
Exactly. All right.
Nothing wrong with a little dick.
Okay, so let's move on. Let's get to the community. Nolan, I can do supporter spotlight first if you need a minute to pull up the Patreon questions.
You got away with me not being there. Brad is mad.
But yeah, Brad's upset.
We haven't crushed your dreams.
Yeah.
Oh wait, hold on. What is he saying?
If Brad was here, he would have trashed on the show a lot more, and so you got lucky that he's not here.
The irony is, Brad was the one who suggested we talk about this tonight when we were talking about planning the show notes.
Don't worry, we haven't heard The Last of Us.
Did you say The Last of Us?
The Last of This.
The Last of Us? I'm very excited for The Last of Us 2, by the way. All right.
Is this 608?
Yeah, 608. All right, I have the thingamajig here.
I have the questions, dude. I'm good to go, Nick.
All right, well, I've already said I'm going to do Supporter Spotlight first. Are you ready?
Do it.
All right, our Supporter Spotlight this week. And again, if you're a supporter on Patreon at the $3 tier or higher, or a supporter on Twitch, you can fill out. There's a Supporter Spotlight channel in Discord. There's a link in there for a Google Doc where you can fill out. You can take a short questionnaire about your taste in games, and you can tell us your top 5 games of all time, your 4-player minute, things like that. And every week I'll pick someone at random. I'll pick a few of their responses and read them, and we'll do this every week. If we eventually run out of people, which we're not close to right now, we have a lot of submissions, we'll revisit some of them and read some of the other questions or the other answers that we didn't get to the first time. So our supporter this week is The Green Goddamn.
Goddamn.
And he's from North Carolina. Thank you again for telling us where you're from. I do really appreciate it when you do that. And he says, so what is one interesting fact about yourself that you would like the community to know? He said, I unironically, quote unquote, study the blade. I'm an avid practitioner of historical European martial arts. It's the only hobby I have that I actually spend more time doing than playing video games. We read medieval combat manuals and try to recreate the techniques and fighting systems used back then as accurately as we can. I like to think this makes my obsession with swords and other medieval weapons less cringy because I actually use them.
Wait, does he have an iron sword and a silver sword?
I don't know, but probably. But I like how you're trying to keep it connected to The Witcher.
Yeah.
Crispy's over there.
They would make that. They would make that out of steel, not iron.
Yeah, I got it.
Unless it was cold iron, which has
Green Goddamn is in chat right now, and he says no silver ones, lots of steel ones.
There you go. So I guess he's not fighting too many monsters, so he's okay.
What's funny is I was actually bored at work the other day, and I was on YouTube, and somehow I stumbled upon like the international historical combat federation or something like that. I don't remember. I don't remember what they're called, but they do what he's talking about. They do historical medieval martial arts, and they have tournaments, and they have teams from all over the world come. They have like national teams from like, the European countries and from America like come and do like melees and tournaments and shit like that. And I was watching a bunch of this shit on YouTube, and it's fucking fascinating. Like it was really engrossing and really interesting to watch, and like fucking brutal. Like these dudes, like there was one part where these two guys were ganged up on one dude. One of them got the guy in a headlock, and the other dude took a hammer and just went like bam, like on the front of the dude's helmet. And it's like that was all legal. That was all fine. Like,
he's okay.
Yeah, like that was all like whatever. And like at the end, like they had the 16-on-16 melee, and at the end of it, like 3 people had like broken bones, and like I think the UK won. It was like it was England versus the US, and England won. But then I watched another one where the US won. But yeah, it was really interesting that like people do this, and they like they like get the armor and the historical and fight like you would see back then, and it doesn't look cool at all. It looks very like
it doesn't look as cool as they make it look on TV.
It looks really dangerous.
Yes. But that is that is a genuinely interesting fact about yourself. You know, most people's interesting facts are like mildly interesting. That's genuinely really fucking interesting.
That's fucking cool, and fucking be careful.
Yes, please be careful. And okay, so here's what I'm actually going to do. So I remember why I was originally in my head going to do supporter spotlight after the questions, because I was going to do his 4-player minute. We haven't done one of these yet for someone. So why don't we do questions, and then we will dovetail into the 4-player minute by reading his.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. So no new patrons this week.
What?
That's okay.
Wait.
All right.
Actually, I guess you're. Sorry. We had someone, but I guess they renewed after coming back, being gone for a while. Okay.
Correct.
Cool.
Yeah. So first question this week, though, from our patrons comes from J Press. With Final Fantasy VII Remake not leaving Midgar, will the game only feature 4 playable characters? If so, do you see that lack of character variety as an issue? I don't think that it's not leaving Midgar. I think it's just the first. Yeah,
they haven't really said where this game ends, but
correct, they have not. I don't think it's going to not leave Midgar, though.
I don't like, and we've had this conversation a few times, and you know, Chris Davis is convinced that this whole game takes place in Midgar, but like,
Chris Davis is also a doof.
I can't imagine this game, at least not like coming out of Midgar for a while.
I think it's definitely going
and I think what the question he's asking is like maybe the strongest case for why it can't take place entirely in Midgar. Like you only meet a handful of the characters of Final Fantasy VII in Midgar.
If that was going to be the case, they could always just like, and now, Red 13 is in Midgar, and
But that would kill like so many of those.
No, I agree. That
would be terrible.
I'm agreeing it would be terrible, which is why I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah. But the thing is, we have already seen glimpses of how they are changing things. Like there's in the trailer, there is straight up a shot of Sephiroth meeting Cloud in Midgar. I don't know what the context of that is, or how much they are like changing to make that happen. But like, it's definitely not a 1-for-1 remake. That's for sure. So who knows what they're gonna do. But I think that would be kind of a bummer if the game took place only in Midgar and you only got to play with 4 characters. Because that means, That means Cloud, Aerith, Tifa, and Barrett, right?
Correct.
I can't think of anyone else in Midgar. And the demo they had at E3 lets you play with Cloud and Barrett, which means if that was the case, the final game, there were only two new characters that had never been shown or played before. So, like, that's very weird. Anyways, next question.
Next question from Scud. What will it take for Nick to get a proper desk?
I'm actually on
calling you out.
Here's my answer to that. A new house.
Yeah.
I would have to get a new house to get a proper desk. I am on a proper folding desk right now, and it works for these purposes. It's just I don't have a desk with like a rolly chair because it's a smaller room. It's just not ideal. And like my PC is hooked up next to my TV, and that's as much as I would love it. I used to have an office with a proper huge ass desk with a rolly chair where I could sit there and comfortably play PC games till the end of time. But when Robin moved in with me, I gave her that room for her own little like she shed, man cave, she shed, whatever you call it.
She shed.
That's what
she shed.
That's the common term, I'm pretty sure. So
there are a lot of shells in her she shed.
So I gave her that room. I gave her that room, and I tore my desk apart because it wasn't going to fit in here. And so this is I'm doing my best with with the space I have. But if and when we move and I get a bigger space, I will absolutely make sure I get a room that's big enough to have both a desk and a couch and all the stuff. I love Nolan's setup because he has his his couch in there with TV, and he has easy access to his PC. It's like a dream, but
I do like it.
But that Nolan's room setup is going to be kind of like my point of reference when I start looking at new houses and stuff for like what I want. But yeah, that's the answer.
All right, moving on. Next question from Illumination. Disgusted with society, obviously.
Yes.
You up and leave for new horizons. You discover a beautiful island, which you can build your own society on and make your own rules. What is the first rule you would implement?
First rule I would implement.
Just fucking Bill and Ted, man, right? Be excellent to each other.
Yeah, I feel like it would have to be just a general like.
That's my wishy-washy answer.
Like general bullshit won't be tolerated.
I mean, I was gonna go with like no heating up fish in the microwave, but I mean, I guess you could do something like that.
Oh, you think you're gonna have a microwave?
I mean, of course.
Yeah, like I'm over here picturing like a desert island with like nothing.
I'm sorry.
You're rebuilding society. We'll get there eventually, and that's definitely a rule.
I made this microwave out of coconuts. Like that's what I'm picturing here.
First rule of my new society is if you're going to play on a tabletop role-playing game campaign, you have to read the book.
There we go. That's a good rule. By the way, Krispy, this is just kind of an aside. I'm listening to the Adventure Zone. I've never listened to a podcast like a D&D podcast before. It's pretty good.
Well, that one's not D&D, but are you listening to the first season?
Yeah, the first season. Oh wait, do they eventually move on to something other than D&D?
Well, that's what Chris was saying. They play. They did stretch. I don't know how many episodes.
Oh, actually,
they were playing Monster of the Week.
I didn't realize. Yeah, I just realized the episode I listened to the other day was like they mentioned the year 2014. I was like, oh, this is a while ago. So I guess that makes sense. Yeah, just thought I'd mention that there.
But that's dope, dude. Good stuff.
I realized this like thinking back to our own sessions of like the D&D and stuff. I was like, just listening to people try to figure out the rules is actually pretty entertaining.
It can be.
It can be.
All right, let's move on. Next question from Zero Skies. What is your current exercise habit like, and do you have recommendations for certain exercises?
First of all, I don't think you should be taking recommendations from me for workout. I get most of my workout routine from other people. I get that recommend stuff to me. I feel like Nolan might have some Nolan's training for a half marathon right now?
Half marathon. Dude, I used to work out all the time back in the day. I used to be a fucking gym rat way back in the day. Fucking at the gym until like 11 p.m.
Damn.
But that was, early college when I had nothing else to do.
I started, so I have a gym membership and I've been doing some personal training lately, but I started going to the gym during my lunch break at work because I'm literally in the same parking lot as my gym, so I just walk across the parking lot and I go to the gym and I work out for like 30 minutes, and then I go get in the pool and I do like a couple laps and I just chill and like rinse off and everything, and like it's so like it's not only is it refreshing and like it makes me feel better after like being sore and sweaty and stuff, getting in the pool, and but like knowing that like I'm done with work and I don't have to go to the gym after work, it's kind of life changing. So that's pretty nice. Although I will say this, I got a new swimsuit and like goggles and stuff because I was like, I want to start getting swimming again. I used to swim all the time, and I did a 50, and I was like, damn, I'm tired.
Dude, swimming's fucking like but like I said, back in the day when I was a gym, I also swam a lot because I worked at a 24-hour fitness and they had a 24-hour fitness and they had a pool there. And dude, like if you haven't swam in a while and you just jump back in the pool and you're like, I'm gonna do some laps, dude, like a couple laps and you're like, yeah, I can't drown.
I was like, how did I used to do this all the time? Yeah. This is ridiculous. So one thing, my gym pool has water slides, nice. like legit, twisty with the water jets and stuff, water slides. But it was, so I went at lunch break and I went swimming, but they were, I guess, like the lifeguards were taking a break or whatever, so it was off. And then so I was just like, oh, this is nice and relaxing. I'm just chilling out. And then I see the lifeguards coming back and they like blow their whistle and they open the gate. And I just see all these like little kids swarm. And I was like, bitches, me first. And I got in the pool and I ran to the top of that bitch. And I was the first down the slide. And then I was like, time to go back to work like an adult.
Yeah. Awesome. But yeah, like Nick said, I'm currently training for a half marathon. So I run 4 days a week, a 5K, 3 of those days. The 4th day is 1 extra mile. So tomorrow I'm running a 5K at 6:40 in the morning. Saturday I'll run 4 miles. And then the 3 other days of the week I do like light, like weights.
I am not good at swimming or at running. How when you say you run a 5K, like how often are you like stopping or like no, just running?
You don't stop.
I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this. I can't do this.
So I mean, you figure out where your pace is. I mean, my average pace right now isn't that fast. I'm only at around maybe 10 minutes, 40 seconds a mile, which is not that fast. I need to get better at it. Back in the day, I was closer to like maybe 9.5 minutes a mile. So I mean, that's what I'm trying to get back to, just because I've run a half marathon before and I want to beat my time. So yeah.
Nice. Well, keep us posted on that. I will say, Chai Tai makes a good point in chat. Chai Tai actually took it upon himself to set up a health and fitness channel in our Discord. So if you want questions or to talk to people about fitness stuff, jump in there. I know Chai is more than happy to talk to people about nutrition and fitness and whatever it is. So discord.gg/4player is where you can find that. That's a nice plug. So
yeah.
All right.
So final question from our patrons this week comes from Don. Has there ever been a game for any of y'all that appeared on a top/best list of yours that, in retrospect and more time with the game, made you reconsider how highly you praised it?
Oh, yes.
Definitely. Yeah, all the time.
100%.
Yes.
I mean, I'm still kicking myself in the ass for putting Detroit on my top 10 last year, but I do love that game.
Nick, there's no reason that couldn't be in your top 10. That's a fine game.
Well, you actually like that game.
But here's my problem.
No, it wasn't. But it was one of your 10 favorite games that year for sure.
I've never been so like for me, I was going back and forth between Detroit and Ashen, and like I love Ashen, and I was like, I don't know, I struggled with that for a long ass time. That's just the first thing that comes to mind.
I can't think of a specific example from a top 10 list, but I remember back when we did written reviews. The first one I ever wrote for the website was for Borderlands 2. Oh, and it was like glowing. Like I loved Borderlands 2 when it first came out, and then like in retrospect, I was kind of like, it's not that great.
I totally thought you were going to mention Batman Arkham Origins because you gave that game a pretty high score, but you
Origins?
Yeah, I thought you gave it like an 8, didn't you?
No, I don't think I did. I think I gave it like a 6.
Well, I think maybe you gave it a 6, but when you talked about it, you sounded like it was an 8.
I don't remember ever liking that game.
How dare you? Let's see. I'm looking back at my top 10 list right now. I just wanted to see if there's anything that jumps out at me as something where I was like, "What the fuck?" I tend to stand by my opinions here pretty strongly. There was like I put Fallout 4 on my top 10 list one year, and I had only played like 15 hours of it.
That's a tough choice when it comes to putting a game that I haven't spent a whole lot of time with on my top 10, because the frustrating part is sometimes I'm really enjoying it, but the problem, because we're always rushed at the end of the year, and you don't want to not give something credit when it's due, but sometimes it could be just you're on that initial high of the game, and often that high is fleeting. And so it's always tough, and I definitely, I guarantee you there's at least one game on every top 10 list in retrospect that I probably would have switched with something else.
Yeah.
I can't think of off the top of my head, but
like I'm looking back at, as I look back over the years and I look at myself like, man, I was young and stupid.
Of course.
Like 2012, don't get me wrong. My number one game of that year, I think, is a fantastic game. And maybe it's just the fact that now that I've played like 18 versions of this exact same game, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have put that in my number one. My number one game of 2012 was Far Cry 3. And that game was
Far Cry 3 was pretty good. I don't remember what else came out in 2012.
It was great. It was a great game. But was it better than Dishonored?
Ooh.
Was it better than The Walking Dead? Season 1, Telltale's The Walking Dead?
Oh, no, definitely not. Walking
like,
Dead,
these are games that I put it above. And I'm just thinking to myself, maybe I'm dumb. That's all I'm saying. That's all. This is another year. I put XCOM Enemy Unknown on my list. I played like 10 hours of that game and died so many times. And not that that's not worthy of praise, but I'm like, maybe I wasn't the one who should have been praising it.
Maybe.
Stuff like that. I mean, I stand by almost all my choices. I love a lot of the games on my list, but, sometimes I'm like, maybe I should have put other stuff ahead of it. Yeah.
Cool.
Do we have any Twitch questions this week?
Let me pull it up real quick. Questions in Twitch. I
don't think we do. I don't think we do. So I think that does it for questions. So let's wrap it up with a 4-player minute. But like I said, I want to open with our supporter spotlight response, because we do obviously give you the opportunity, if you submit your answers, to do a 4-player minute. Which, by the way, if you submit your answers for this questionnaire, and then it's like a couple weeks or a couple months even before maybe we draw your name, and you want to go and update your 4-player minute because it's no longer relevant, you can totally do that. You can go back and edit your answers all you want before we get to them. So 4-player minute from the Green Goddamn, our supporter spotlight. His hype: the future of VR. I'm not super heavily invested into VR at the moment, but I've played enough to where I can't stop thinking of the potential the technology has. I can't wait until full body tracking is seamless and we get the Last Airbender game where you can bend with actual body movements. That's an interesting.
That would be.
God, how ridiculous would we look? Jesus. This is kind of.
It's got to be wireless.
Yeah, this isn't exactly the same, but it made me think of this. Did anyone see the blooper reel or the first clip of the blooper reel from the Avengers Endgame DVD that released the other day? There's one shot of Brie Larson as Captain Marvel in front of a giant green screen where she's like flying, and they're like holding her up in the air, and she's like, "Does it look cool? It doesn't. It doesn't feel very cool, but if it looks cool, I guess that's all that matters." And it's like, that's kind of how I feel about VR. Where it's like, I feel cool, but I probably look stupid as hell. It's kind of the other way around.
Maybe.
So his sweat is Monster Hunter Iceborne being delayed on PC. I invested a lot more into my PC version than I did the PS4 one. I want to stick with it, but it's going to be a hard few months. So does that mean they've officially delayed it on PC already, or is he worried it's going to be delayed?
I actually don't know. Let me see.
Yeah, someone look that up.
Burn PC.
Green Goddamn in chat says, I thought it was official. And, Biohunter in chat's right. PC is typically behind a little bit.
Always.
I'm still getting September 6th.
September 6th.
Wait, no, I guess that's just the regular release date.
It's probably regular.
Eric saying winter for PC. Okay. I don't know, but yeah, that kind of sucks. It's going to be a tough few months if you're really into that. Find other things to distract you. Thank you goes to the community members who all got me interested in Final Fantasy XIV and having been chatting about it, playing it with me. I've never really been one for MMOs and likely wouldn't have given it a chance otherwise, but it's genuinely been some of the most fun I've had in video games for a while. My fuck you of the week goes to the community members who got me interested in Final Fantasy XIV, because now I have no free time God damn it.
Of course.
That is the dangers of MMOs.
Final Fantasy 14. Should we play that?
Let's move on, shall we? to our who's going to start? Brad's usually the one who starts. He's not here. Who's going first this week? I'll do it. You fuckers.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me pull up my notes here. My 4-player minute starts now. And my thank you this week goes to the community for trying to help me get set up in Final Fantasy 14.
God damn it.
Because you are playing it.
Yeah, were you right? Is that what you were guessing at the beginning of the show?
No, I was saying we should play it, but... Yes, no, that's not what I was guessing at all. It's even worse, Nick. No.
What was your guess that I was?
I don't know. I thought you were like watching Buffy again for the 9 billionth time.
No, I'm still watching. I have a few more episodes left. Yeah. No, I am both. This is kind of a sweat as well. Just I like the idea of trying new things, right? That was kind of something I wanted to do this year. Like I wanted to play more old stuff. I wanted to try things that I've never done before. And we do have a channel or Discord set up for Final Fantasy 14. And there's a lot of people in it, and there's a lot of people hanging out and seemingly having a good time. And I watched a review for Shadowbringer, the new DLC or the new expansion for it, and like it looked awesome and getting a lot of praise. And like there's people saying this is like some of the best Final Fantasy since like my era of like liking like back in like PS1 Final Fantasy days, and like that, that's exciting. I played Final Fantasy 11 back in the day for like 20 hours because I really wanted to be a summoner, and I really enjoyed my time with it. But the leveling took so long in that game that I dropped off, and I hear the leveling system in this one moves quite a bit faster, thanks to people I've been talking to in Discord about it. So I just wanted to try it. I'm not going to like go crazy. It's probably going to be one of those things where I play like 3 or 4 hours a week maybe. But I would like to try it and maybe try and get to Shadowbringer and experience that, because that would be a cool game to like dip my toes in that I wouldn't otherwise play. But my thank you specifically goes to members of the community who have been trying to help me get into the server where they're all playing so I can be part of the 4-player network guild. You have to be in that exact server. And the problem is it's full. So you have to wait until like there's availability to make a new character in it. So I've been trying and trying and trying to the point where Gray Fox specifically offered to actually log into my account at non-peak hours and create my character. So he's talking like 5 in the morning. It didn't work out, but I appreciate everybody trying to get me in there. I don't know if I'm going to end up getting on that server, but everyone's been working real hard
Nick,
to try and
let's
get
you
me
and
in
me
there.
go on our own server, and we'll play Final Fantasy with...
It's free till level 35, baby.
Wow.
Let's do it.
I want to be a wizard.
Bitch, I'm being a summoner.
Anyways. Is that different?
Maybe. It's like a summoner. It's like a wizard with animals.
Like a druid.
Yeah. Thank you. My hype this week goes to The Witcher. We had a long conversation about that already. I think you kind of know where I stand. But like I said, the trailer kind of reignited my interest in The Witcher. I went out and bought the first book. I'm looking forward to reading that next. I'm also really interested now in playing Blood and Wine because it's been on my pile of shame for a very long time. So I have it on my shelf over there. I installed it. I will eventually get to it. I'm looking forward to playing it because I hear some of the best Witcher 3 content they ever released.
You did play the other one, right? What was the one before Blood and Wine?
Yes.
Hearts, something.
Yes,
Hearts.
I played
Heart of Stone?
Yes.
Heart of Stone, yeah.
I played all of the content with the exception of Blood and Wine, which I know is kind of blasphemous. And my fuck you of the week goes to an enemy in Sekiro, because I went back and jumped back into Sekiro, and after fighting a boss for a while and realizing that this is a terrible place to jump back in after not playing it again for like 3 months, I decided to just go explore. And I went the other direction. And the only other direction I could find that I had not gone yet and explored and done everything put me up against a mini boss called Snake Eyes. I fought this motherfucker for probably 6 hours. And that's over 2 sessions. I rage quit once. I will say this, it got me back into the swing of things. Like, I now feel like I remember how to play that game. But holy fucking shit. And I was like, maybe I'm just not good at this game anymore. Maybe like I'm just like, I've lost it and this is it. I'm done playing Sekiro. But I finally beat him. Fuck that guy or girl. I think it's a girl. And And then I found out people on Twitter were saying apparently that's like literally considered one of the hardest enemies in the game. And I hope that's true. I hope people aren't just trying to butter me up, make me feel better. Because if that's the case, then
you did it.
I did it. It's all downhill from here. Yeah. Or uphill. I don't know how you look at that. But yeah. That's my 4-player minute.
You're on easy street now, Nick.
Who's going next?
I'll do it next. My 4-player minute starts now. My hype. It's for Dragon Quest Builders 2. I did just download the demo on the PS4. I'm gonna
give it a few
minutes, see how it goes. We'll see what happens.
You're playing on PS4, right, Krispy?
Yes.
Cool.
My sweat goes to my Oculus. I've only played it like maybe 7 or 8 hours since I bought it. And like the thing is, when I look at my Steam, there's like 5 or 16 games that I downloaded for it, and I just haven't touched them yet.
Yeah.
It's just fucking time, man. My sweat as well goes to The Witcher. Like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic, but I want it to be successful because I want more content like this.
Yeah.
I like the concept of a Witcher TV show. I hope it's good just so we see more good stuff.
Yep.
And then my fuck you goes to myself. I've just been trying to do way too much stuff lately. I've been trying to do all this like stuff around my house, and I bought like, I'll buy this wall mount and I'll just wall mount my TV real quick, and then just like all these other things, and like there's just way too much crap going on, and I'm not giving myself enough time to play games, and it's like, I'll wake up at 6:40 to go running. That's not a problem. And then like, rolls, 9:45 rolls around. I'm like, I'm so tired.
You got to set some time aside for yourself, Nolan.
See, I know, man. I know. I'm trying. I need to do better at it. That's it. That's my 4-player minute.
Balance.
Yeah.
There, that's the one.
That's the one. Cool. My hype this week is for Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Looks fucking dope. I don't know. I'm trying to decide which house I'm gonna do. I was thinking about Blue Lion because they were kind of like the knights. And like swords and shit, but I don't know. I might go. What is it? Black Eagles, the one that has the wizards. Yeah.
I'm so worried, guys. I'm so worried that next week y'all are gonna talk. You and Brad are gonna talk about this game, and I'm gonna be like, maybe this is for me.
Dude, have you seen the reviews?
Yes.
Like they have all been fucking nuts.
Oh my god! And it, I feel like I've been tricked into thinking I like Fire Emblem like several times, and it just never works out.
It's a reinvention of the series, Nicholas.
I know.
There's never been a better time to be a Fire Emblem fan. It looks really cool. My sweat is for I'm gonna say for I can only think of Outlaw Star. That's all it's called.
Outlaw Star? Wow.
No, the fucking space game.
Oh, Outer Wilds.
Outer Wilds.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was like, if you're worried about Outlaw Star, I have some news for you.
Yeah, no, Outer Wilds. Just because it's really cool, but like
it's pretty cool.
It's so low. It's so low on my priorities list right now.
Yeah. It's a game that's made for you though, Krispy. I'm telling you that.
Oh, definitely.
It is a Krispy game if I've ever seen one.
Mm-hmm.
I know. My what am I on? Fuck you. My fuck you of the week goes to me because I bought like 3 different RPG systems over the last week. I don't know. Like I'm in the phase of like my tabletop RPG like hobbyistness.
Are you still
like exploring other systems and I'm like reading about all these new RPGs and I'm like, that sounds amazing. I gotta buy that. That sounds amazing. I gotta buy that. Like
I know the feeling. Are you still enjoying that one that you were researching the what's it called? With the monsters
Monster of the Week.
Yeah, Monster of the Week.
Oh yeah. Monster of the Week's great.
We're still gonna play that?
Well, yeah, we're still gonna play that, but here's the deal I'm gonna make with you, Nick.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you the book and we will play when you've read the book and you feel comfortable with the rules.
Okay.
Comfortable enough that you can explain the rules to other people.
Is that because you feel like I'm
No, honestly, it is more a function of the fact that like I've got 3 other games that I'm involved with.
Gotcha.
And I just like, when am I gonna have time, right? So I'm like, I'm padding out my time. So when you have done a little bit of the prep work that we need to play this game, whenever that is, however long it takes you, there's no pressure. It's whenever you want to do it in your own time. When you've read that book and you come to me and you're like, I've read the book and I'm ready to play, then we will begin. Then we will begin creating our game.
All right, sounds good. Next time you see me, hand it off.
Okay. And my thank you for the week goes to I don't know who.
You can just say fuck it and just do another hype. It's always easy to find hypes.
That's true.
There's a lot to be hyped about.
Could just do.
Crispy, are you hyped for Jojo Rabbit?
Dude, oh my god, right? Like that just came out of nowhere.
Right?
Like, that looks pretty good. I mean, I will watch anything Taika Waititi makes.
Oh, yes, that movie. The one where he plays
the Hitler movie.
Yeah,
that's the one.
We'll say that. I'm hyped for that. That looks pretty great.
Cool. And I think that does it for this episode, guys. If you're watching us live, thank you very much for tuning in. Nolan, Crispy, thank you for being here. We do this show every Thursday night. Usually we're at Nolan's in the podcast room, but we do appreciate everyone who tuned in. It's just 3 of us here doing it online, but it's great. Appreciate it. We'll be back next Thursday night for another episode with probably lots of video games to talk about. If you want to find our show, you can find us at 4playernetwork.com. You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And as I mentioned several times tonight, if you're not a member of our Discord, you absolutely should be. It's discord.gg/4player. It's the easiest, freest way to be an active member of our community. So jump on in there. And of course, you can watch us stream periodically on 4pp.tv. So that's it. Good night, guys. Thank you very much for being here, and we will catch you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.